My heart goes out to baby Elijah and everybody who's affected by this terrible, terrible situation. I know exactly what you guys are going through. The hardest funeral I've ever been to was a baby's funeral. Anybody who knows me knows that I love kids. I've wanted a big, huge family, tons and tons of kids. But along the way, life kind of changed me. Too many things happened. I've dealt with racism a bit, bullying, sexual abuse, as well as rape. And I almost lost my fight with it. I lost my whole self for a long time. And still working on it. A lot better than what it was before, but it also has made me very paranoid, so I always fear everything. I fear, what if I have a kid and something like this happens to them? What if I'm not able to see it through? What if I'm not strong enough? Sometimes we can't even trust our own friends and family. A lot of these sexual assault cases and rape cases, you hear a lot of it is family members or people who are very close to the family. I also worked as a teacher's assistant in daycares, and I've seen a lot of bad things. So for me, I know, I just refuse to put my child in daycare. It's really hard because sometimes we can only trust ourselves with our children. But be very careful who you trust your children with. A lot of the times it's teachers who are just there for a paycheck. They're not meant to be teachers. So I've seen things where a teacher has tossed a toddler, no more than 5 feet, but instead of losing their job like they should, management just doesn't want to deal with it, so they hide it, and it's like, okay, we'll put you in another room because clearly, you can't handle this age group, and nobody else wants to work with the teacher, and I'm, I was very easygoing, and I try not to make trouble, so I'll work with the teacher, why not? And then you still see things. We had this one kid who, she was good at memorization. So any memory games, she had it down packed. Songs she liked, she knew the lyrics. But when it came to doing it on the paper, it was much harder for her. So the teacher would just yell at her, "Oh, what are you, stupid? You don't know how to connect the dots and learn that, 2 + 2 = 4. Kids were older. I'm pretty sure they went home and started telling the parents. It got to the point where the children were lashing out at her, and it got to the point that the teachers didn't want to deal with her anymore. She was constantly, belittling these kids and making them feel crummy. And, I dealt with ADHD, and I still do, and I know what it's like not getting things and having people talk down at you like that and making you feel even more, stupid. You're not stupid, by the way. You're not. We just all learn things differently. So I would also, work with those kids and try to get them to learn it at a different level. I was more a hands-on learner, so sometimes that worked. I mostly worked toddler rooms, so I would even see teachers throw their kids into my room and be like, "You want to be a baby and act like a baby? You can stay with the babies." And these kids were constantly being kicked out of school from school. So again, I knew what it was like to feel belittled and be thrown out of class like that and humiliated. So I spent my own free time after and worked one-on-one with this child and started finding out why he was lashing out and working ways on what he could do. It was probably about 2 months that I did this, and within 2 months there was such a big improvement. Even his teacher was saying, like, it's crazy. You could see when he gets upset, he goes away and does his little breathing and things like that. Yeah, you just got to work, with them. But I just know that for me, I wouldn't be able to trust my kid in a daycare. All we can do is do our best and pray that we're strong enough to be there for anything that happens, and trust that God doesn't give us anything that we can't handle. But know at the same time that if, God forbid, something does happen, it is not our fault. Unfortunately, we cannot protect our children 24/7. And sadly, we can't keep our kid in a protective bubble. I'd like to, but we can't. I just find that life's a little bit too scary nowadays. Back then we worried about wars and things like that, and that was scary. But I just find nowadays there's a lot more to worry about. There's a lot more predators. There's a lot more rapists and things like that. And there's just a lot more abductions and kids testing things more nowadays. They get into things more. They wander and things like that. I know we did too at the same time, but I don't know. I just find that with these new stories, it's just happening a lot more frequently. But we can't control everybody else. We can't control the outside, the community. All we can do is be our best. So if something, terrible does happen, remember, it's not your fault. We can't avoid everything in this world, and we can't keep our children 100% safe. And for all the mothers out there, you're a lot more stronger than I am. I'm still trying to get there and be that strong and have that child